Hey you folks, Cool18 here, and welcome to a video showing you 7 must-have mods for Cities Skyline. Do note that it is currently March 15th. The game has been out for less than a week. Of course, these mods may end up breaking as various patches come out and so on and so forth, and they are made by just random internet people. So, for all I know, they could set your computer on fire. I will remind you that I'm not tech support. If something breaks, I will not be able to help you. You'll have to contact the mod developer or the people behind Cities Skyline. That is to say, Colossal Order. But here are some mods that I have been enjoying lately. I'm actually going to start from the bottom and work my way up because I think these are the oldest ones here. First of all spaces unlockable. There's actually a couple of different versions of this. Basically, it allows you to get all 25 spaces in the map by buying them. Normally, you can only unlock 9 squares out of a possible total of 25. But with this mod, or several others that do the same thing, you can unlock all 25 of them. Usually the way they work is when you get to that final milestone, instead of just giving you +1 extra plots, you get like plus 20 or something like that. So that way you can unlock every aspect of the map. Of course, this could lead you to build extremely large cities that might result in the game running more slowly than expected. Could also lead to out-of-memory problems where your game might crash or something like that. So you'll have to have a relatively beefy computer to put up with that. But I find it's really useful for some of the custom maps that people are putting out that are that don't have a lot of buildable areas. There are a lot of islands. They have a lot of mountains that you can't necessarily build on. So even though you're unlocking 25 spaces, you're not really necessarily building a much bigger city, and then this works really, really well. Automatic bulldoze, I'll go and show you this in-game momentarily. This is a mod that allows you to automatically bulldoze, burn down buildings, or abandon buildings instead of having to hunt them down yourself. Now, of course, those buildings will replace themselves in time, assuming you've got enough demand for, you know, the residential, commercial, or industrial. But, this makes life a little bit easier. Abandoned buildings, of course, do reduce land value in the area where they are, so by bulldozing them instantly, you prevent a little bit of that from happening. However, there's a downside to this in that it can hide problems. You might not be aware that you're getting a lot of buildings being abandoned constantly if they're being automatically bulldozed. So use that one for caution because it might hide some problem. Tree brush is very cool. In the game, in the normal game, you can only put down 1 tree at a time normally, but in the map editor, there's this sort of brush where you could paint down huge forests with a single click. This tree brush brings that tool into the main game itself, with the caveat that it works like it does in the map editor, which means it actually plops down trees for free and things. We're going to, again, look at this once we get into the game itself. Dynamic resolution is not a gameplay mod. It actually causes the game internally to render itself at a much higher resolution, which then gets downscaled. And what it does is it blows any sort of like jagged edges away. It's like super turbo anti-aliasing. It does require a lot of video card processing power because you're basically rendering 2 to 4 times as many pixels. So again, you're going to need a relatively beefy computer. But if the absolute top graphics are important to you, you might want to look into dynamic resolutions. I have the mod mostly because I want to open up the ability to take some cool screenshots, but I actually don't play with it normally running. We've got the autosave. There's a few autosave mods out there. Basically what this does is automatically save the game every 5 minutes or so to a special save game slot. That way if you do get a crash, you don't lose very much, which is really nice. The ground level camera here is really awesome. It allows you to basically walk around in your city as if you were one of your own citizens. Normally you can't get your camera down quite that low, and that will allow you to do that, which is really cool. And the latest mod that I've just installed but haven't actually tested yet, and actually I think I forgot to enable it inside the game, is the ability to upgrade between 1- and 2-way roads. This is the topmost feature request I have for City Skyline. I have no doubt that this is something that will be added in a patch at some point, but meanwhile, we do actually have a mod that supports that. So let's go ahead into the game and check these out. And I think I will have to go and reset things very slightly here because I think I forgot to enable that final mod. All right, let's bring that up. Give me a moment. I just got to adjust the scene ever so slightly because the captures were not quite the same size. So we're going to do that and do that. This is my city of Venice. If you're not up to date with the live streams, well, you'll be able to watch those videos and catch up there. So we've got a city here for a little bit of testing, and I want to talk about the different modes. So if I remind myself what the different mods are from the other screen here, we're going to start off with all spaces unlockable. So there's not really much to show here in game, other than the fact that right now I have 5 tiles unlocked, and basically I'll just be able to unlock all of these. I won't be capped at 9. There's really nothing else to be said about that. Okay, the automatic bulldoze is interesting because what happens if you click on the bulldozer button, over here. First of all, I actually want to show you something that a lot of people don't know about that might make you not need a mod quite as much. I thought that you had to keep clicking to delete things, and one of my other top requests is the ability to have some sort of bulldozer brush, or the ability to do a marquee, like drag a square out with the bulldozer and have everything destroyed in there, because I found it quite tedious to go and do that. Don't worry, I won't save the city. You know, to just keep clicking, especially roads, click, 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 very frustrating. Well, as it turns out, in the base game, this is not a mod, if you click and hold on something, and then you can drag around, and it'll keep deleting everything, but only of that source. You'll see here, it's not deleting any buildings, but any road I mouse over will get deleted. And the other way works the same. If I delete a building, I can drag around like this, and it'll just delete regular buildings. It won't necessarily delete special ploppables like my metro here, which I think is quite a cool feature. However, it doesn't distinguish between, say, burnt down buildings and abandoned buildings. So if you had one, and I might not have one in the city right now just because my demand is all really high everywhere, and I might have, oh, I guess I have the automatic demolishing turned on as well. You can't click on an abandoned building and then drag around and hope it'll only delete abandoned buildings. It will just delete buildings as you drag around, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so here's the mod. The mod adds these two buttons over here on the left-hand side of the screen, the demolish abandoned and demolish burned. This is what they would look like if they were both disabled. So at this point, the game runs like it normally does. If I turn that on, any building that has been burnt down will be automatically bulldozed. And if I turn this one on, any building that is abandoned will be automatically bulldozed. It doesn't do it instantaneously. I think the game, or the mod, sort of like runs at sort of a lower priority in the background to not overwhelm the system. It just keeps checking the state of the buildings in the game. And if you end up, like if you load this in to a city that's got a bunch of abandoned buildings already, and you just watch them, you'll see them go pop, 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 and disappear and be demolished, just as if you'd bulldoze them yourself, but then you don't have to babysit and look after all that. So it's kind of a nice little feature. Next one up is the tree brush. Okay, so for this, we have to go into the decorations. Also, by the way, if I hadn't made it clear, there'll be links to all these mods down in the description box down below. So the tree brush is this. Normally, if you grab a tree, so you always have to grab a tree here, and you want to put it down. You can put down a single tree at a time. And that dragging... I'm dragging right now. It doesn't put down multiple trees. Shift and Control doesn't do that yet. I suspect that this is something that will probably change in a future patch, so this will probably be a little bit obsolete. But for now, you can only put down single trees at a time. And we don't want to lose that ability. It's very nice to put down single trees, you know, like, say, right in there, where you've got some gaps in the building. It's a very nice thing to do. Maybe over here, it's quite nice. But sometimes we want to, like, fill this entire triangle here with trees. Well, with this mod, by default, the hotkeys for it are plus and minus. If I hit that, now I go into this sort of brush mode, and now if I click, it'll actually start filling this area with trees, very much like in the map editor. I will note that these trees don't actually cost any money, just because it's literally using the map editor tool, because as a mod, it's just sort of like, just a bit of a hack, you know, it's using something that's already there and repurposing it to do something else, so it's not necessarily balanced. If you think trees should cost 10 bucks a piece, then this lets you bypass that cost, but it allows you to make really pretty areas a lot faster, because that would have been really tedious. I actually wouldn't mind paying 10 bucks per tree in here, but what I don't want to do is spend my entire life click, 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 click to place all the trees down. So if I hit minus, 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 I can bring it all down to a single tree again and get the normal functionality. As far as I can tell, the trees placed directly versus using the brush are exactly the same as one another. I don't think it makes any difference in any way. Alright, next mod, the Dynamic Resolution mod. So, this one here, the default hotkey is F10. If I hit this, it'll open up this window over here. So, it'll tell me what my current frame rate is. I actually don't know what the DT stands for. That might be like time between frames. Actually, that makes perfect sense. That's exactly what it is. And, you know, already we can see we can move around here and look at that, it changes the rates. My rate will be a little bit less than yours probably just because I'm recording. But what I can do, if I find a place that's got a little bit of jaggies, and it's going to be a little hard to see maybe on YouTube, like I can see this roof line here is just a little jagged. You get sort of a staircase effect in the pixels. That doesn't matter if I zoom in more or not, just get more pixels. But I definitely see there's a little bit of a jagged edge. So if I bring this up, say, if I bring it to 300% and apply, it'll take a second, but now I've got a perfectly smooth line. I've just ruined my FPS. Pretty dramatically. 300 is a little bit crazy. Something more reasonable might be something like 200%. Now, I am doubling my internal resolution here, which means actually, see, I'm doubling the resolution, but in both directions, so my computer's actually having to draw 4 times as many pixels if I go to 200%, which can really hurt the performance quite a bit. So again, you need a relatively beefy computer to do this, but then it makes things a lot smoother, which can be nice. Personally, though, I'm quite fine with just using it at the normal thing. I'm not going to use this dynamic resolution much, other than when I want to make a really, really nice screenshot, maybe. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit F10 to hide that. And there we go. So just a little eye candy if you prefer that. Okay, the autosave mod basically just works naturally. It does autosave every 5 minutes. If you read the mod description, it will go and tell you that there's a text file that contains the configuration, so you can change the autosave timer, but 5 minutes sounded pretty good to me, so I haven't done that. Okay, next one up is the ground level camera. This is pretty awesome. So if I go, let's unpause the game over here, and I can hit this button over here. It's kind of oddly placed, but you know, mods are going to be mods. Hopefully they'll adjust things at some point. If I do that, now I'm in ground camera mode, and I can move around with the WASD key and walk around just like one of my little citizens. I can follow people around. I can try to get hit by a car. I mean, obviously I'm not really here, so people don't really care what I do one way or another. But it lets you experience your city in a very different way. You can hold shift if you want to run really fast. And in the past, this mod, when it originally came out, didn't work with bridges. If I go and find a bridge, apparently it now works. Do I have an elevated bridge? Yeah, like this one right over here, for example. So I'm going to hit this. Alright, there we go. So in theory, I can now... There we are. I'm sort of hovering a little over the bridge. Oh, it works fine here. I guess the ramps, it treats the ramp elevation maybe a little bit differently than I might expect. But there we go. Now I'm coming down, which is very cool, unless you take some pretty neat screenshots and just get a sense of your city. And I like that a lot. I think it's lovely. Again, it doesn't change any gameplay in any way whatsoever. You do hit tab to get out of this mode here. Alright, so the final one I actually can't test right now because I forgot to enable the mod. So let me drop back out to the main menu. This is something that you have to remember to do. When you download a mod from the from the Steam Workshop, you still have to go to your content manager here and then toggle it on. So my new one here is the extended road upgrade. So I'm going to turn that on. We're going to go ahead and test it. I have not used it yet. Hopefully it doesn't explode my computer. I think it'll be fine. Let me load up that Venice map once more. We'll just have to wait for the load time briefly. But the idea is this. Right now, if you put down a two-way road, you can upgrade it to like a tree line two-way road, or you can upgrade it to a 4-lane road or a 6-lane road. That you can do. But what you can't do is you can't upgrade it to a one-way, which to me is definitely something that should be in the game, and they may have been trying to decide how the user interface should work, or, you know, they were just trying to get the game to ship and work. I have no doubt that we will get this feature in the game at some point, but right now we do not. So what you have to do is you have to bulldoze the existing road and then replace it. Now that's not so bad when you've got a straight road, like right over here. You can do a thing actually, if you pause, we bulldoze this road, and then if we replace this with a one-way, like this, that works, and as long as you do it while paused, your buildings will generally stay there and be fine. Looks like, I don't think I actually had a true straight road over here, so it bulldozed some buildings, so that's not going to be good. So that's one of the reasons, like, usually if you got a real grid, you can replace one-ways with two-ways, but you have to pause, bulldoze, and replace it before it comes back in. Here we lost our zoning, so that is unfortunate. But now, we've got the ability to do some upgrades, right? So, again, if I want to sample, let's say this road over here. Right now it's a two-way. I would like to change it to a one-way. But because it's curved, it would be really hard for me to do that. And if we look, if I go to this one-way tool over here, and I use the upgrade, I can't upgrade from a two-way to a one-way. Or vice versa. You can't go from a one-way to a two-way, which is really kind of annoying. But now I can click this button here, upgrade to a one-way road. And apparently what I have to do is drag to set the direction. There we go. But I can also drag it the other way. So now I'm flipping my roads back and forth. And if I want, I can go back to a two-way as well. But the two-way you don't actually have to drag, which is nice. Look, like, how awesome and perfect is that? This is look at the car. The police car keeps having to U-turn. Oh, turn around. Oh, we actually forced it to delete that time. This car will do a U-turn now as I keep switching the order of the road and confusing my people. This to me is the single greatest mod that I have found so far. I didn't think it would be possible to mod, actually. I'm really surprised that it was possible. I was 100% sure that it was something that we would just have to wait for a patch for, but as it turns out, if you're smart enough, you can work it out. We should be able to do it with these 6 lanes as well. If we go, because I think... Okay, these tools here, it doesn't care what you've got selected, which is actually quite obvious, I realize. If I switch to the tree line tool over here, I don't think it will tree line this road. Oh, it actually did. Oh, because it switched me to the upgrade tool. So let me switch to the non-tree line version and then use the one-way tool and try to flip the one-way. Yeah, it keeps the trees. It keeps these two buttons, keep your roads at exactly the same type. They just change the direction. So here, even though it looks like I have a 2-lane road selected, a 2-lane one-way, if I use this one-way tool, it's just going to keep it as a 6-lane, back and forth, or make it into a 2-way, which is awesome. I can't even tell you how happy I am about that. Now, those are the 7 mods that I wanted to cover. However, I wanted to let you guys know there is an extra mod that you may be interested in. One of the things Cities does is if you have any mods loaded, it disables achievements. Which makes sense because, like, let's say you load in the unlimited money mod. Well, disabling achievements seems pretty fair. However, for some of these things, like the ability to swap a one-way from one direction to another, that's not really cheating, is it? So wouldn't it be nice if you could still have your achievements enabled, even though you had one of these mods loaded in? Just like, technically, this ground... Whoa, I'm inside a building. That's cool. I can probably go through all the buildings. Yeah, cool. Technically, this ground walking around mod is also a mod, so this would disable achievements. Which is like, okay, well, I mean, that's hardly cheating. There is, if you check the Steam shop, or the Steam Workshop, there is a mod that enables achievements while running mods. Now, that might not work forever. Maybe Colossal Order will change something to prevent that sort of thing from happening. Since achievements are only, you know, they're really only for you personally, it's not really a big deal. If you want to use it to unlock everything, well, I guess you can do that. Heck, someone will probably make a mod at some point that automatically unlocks all the achievements for you, just because, you know, some people like to do that. But, so there you go. If, you know, under your personal honor, if you're only playing with mods that affect the user interface and make your life slightly more convenient, then you might want to consider that sort of thing. But I'm not running it because I don't personally care about achievements. It doesn't make a difference to me one way or another, so I don't care that the achievements are disabled over here. Anyway, those are the mods I want to highlight, rather. And by the way, if you're new to the city, you should definitely check out Landship Pass over here. So oh, that's not going to be the right boat. We need a cargo boat to come in. So yeah, those are the... Oh, here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Vroom! This is a custom map I made, and apparently... ships have some funny behavior sometimes. I love it. I never want them to change that ever. I want them to keep that in the game forever and ever and ever. It just makes me so happy. Yeah, so again, check the description box down below and have fun with City Skylines. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.